the first video in a two-part series. In the next video I install PVC quadrant beading over the silicone to guarantee a waterproof seal. In this video we're going to fix around this shower tray. Underneath the gaffer tape is a massive bead of silicone, and in this corner down here, that is where it actually leaks through into the kitchen and it's made a right mess of the ceiling. If you're wondering why I've put gaffer tape around there, it's because it actually started leaking one night when I was working and I was very busy and didn't have time to fix it. So as a temporary measure I put the gaffer tape round, which did stop the leak. You will notice that the shower doors are in the way slightly, so I'm actually going to remove the shower doors. To start off with, we're going to remove all of the gaffer tape, and then we're going to give all the tiles a really good clean, and we're going to clean the area thoroughly, and then we're going to remove the silicone. So as you can see, it's got an absolutely massive bead of silicone on there, which indicates that it has been leaking in the past and they've not been able to remedy it. So we're going to remove all this, and then we're going to put a piece of PVC beading on there, and hopefully that will cure the problem. So I'm just going to start scraping some of the old silicone away using a plastic silicone removal tool. Everything's bad in this bathroom. The acoustics are bad, the lighting's bad, everything is bad. So if the video quality isn't that good, I do apologise, but there's not a lot I can do about it. So before I go any further, I'm just going to clean the tiles. This is relatively easy, you just need a decent product. You might have your favourite product. I've tried quite a few in this bathroom and they've not been that good, the ones that you can buy at the supermarkets. This is a trade product which I bought from Screwfix, and this works really well. So I'm just going to spray some of that on. You do have to be careful with this because you're not supposed to get it on metal, but we'll just spray some of that on there. I don't want to put too much on because it'll probably leak through downstairs into the kitchen. So now I've put that on, we can just give that a scrub using a scourer. We'll have to use quite a few different cleaning products for doing this. We need something to clean the tiles, something to clean the silicone off, and then after that we need something to clean off the cleaners, and the final clean will be done with methylated spirits, which is denatured alcohol. Obviously when you do this you do need to ensure that you've got good ventilation because the fumes are quite bad. So we've got that relatively clean for now. We'll just give the product a wipe off. Normally you'd wash it off, but I'm trying to keep the area as dry as possible. Another thing I'd like to point out is there are a lot of variables when you're doing a job like this. Some silicone like this is relatively easy to remove and sometimes it's an absolute nightmare. So if you're thinking that I'm performing any secret tricks, I'm not, I'm just using this tool. On occasions I've gone to remove stuff like this, not been able to budge it, and I've had to use an actual multi-tool with a blade on the end to actually cut the silicone away. And I've even tried silicone removers and sometimes they do not work. So there are lots of variables with jobs like this. But as you can see, that silicone isn't even attached properly. Very rarely do you get it to come away that easy. Before we go any further, I've got a piece of the quadrant beading which I'm going to use. That is quite a large one. I'm not entirely sure which size I bought, but I will post that in the video. So I've just cut that roughly with the hacksaw, just so that I can put it on there, because there was a chance that it might go over that bead, but as you can see, there's absolutely no chance. We now need to cut this away. And one of the problems is they've actually siliconed over the protective film from the shower tray. So they've not removed that before they've siliconed. I've now scraped off the remainder of the silicone and we've got it in a reasonable state. Now underneath there's actually some very large gaps. So I'm now going to clean it using methylated spirits. I've put it in a spray bottle to make it easy. So I've sprayed some on. I'm now going to give that a good rub. And the beauty of this is that if you leave any on the towels or on the shower tray without wiping it off and you give it a bit of time, it will actually evaporate before you come to use the silicone. So you're left with a perfectly clean surface. So I'm just going to repeat that again to make sure I've got it all. So I'm now going to give that at least 30 minutes, I'll probably give it an hour, just to make sure everything evaporates. I'll then fill that with a nice bead, and then we've got the quadrant to go on there afterwards, which will cover it. So obviously the quadrant is not ideal, but there's not a lot you can do when you've got a massive gap at one side like that, because you're just not going to be able to cover that with a bead and make it look neat. That's the largest siliconing tool that I've got, which is 15mm. And as you can see, that bead isn't just quite big enough. So that's why we're going to have to use the beading. When choosing silicone, ensure you get sanitary silicone with a mold inhibitor. Never use cheap silicone. I'm using Dow 785. So I've left that for about an hour, and I'm now going to flood the area at the back using the silicone. And obviously this may take quite a lot of silicone because in some places there is a really large gap. I've done a few videos on using silicone, which I'll link to in the description. I'll also put links to the products that I used in the video. If you think it's difficult siliconing normally, you want to try it when you've got a camera. It's a lot more difficult. So I'm going to start again in this corner. Again, it's nothing fancy this, I'm just ensuring that the gap is filled. I've now cut a bit more off the nozzle. That will give me a wider bead. I can now put the bead in completely at that side, and we'll go over it with the siliconing tool. Again, it's very difficult with the camera tripod there. I'm now going to take the tool. I've got the tile guide on there, and we're going to put an 8mm bead on there. So I'm just going to push that into the corner. And this time I'm going to come this way. Now I just need to remove the guide to get into the corner. In this corner we're just a little bit low, so I'm just going to add a bit more silicone to that. Again, we'll take the tool with the 8mm bead in the corner there. And then we just need to tidy up the corner. So that is one bead in. And obviously I'm not paying a lot of attention to this because I'm actually going over it with the quadrant. But we still want it to look reasonably well. I've now cut even more off the end of the silicone tube, which will give us a wider bead. And I'll take the tool again. The good thing about these tools is if you miss a bit, you can actually add some more and go back. They are very versatile. Don't think you have to do it all in one go. And we just missed a bit around here. Oh, you dick. I'd leave the silicone at least 24 hours before using the shower. In most cases you can simply apply the 2 beads of silicone. In the next video I'll show how to apply a piece of UPVC beading.